Hey honey, welcome back to Brown Honey TV. If you want to see how I got this makeup look, aka my everyday basic makeup look, stay tuned.
Used to remember those roses in my hair, like violets and tulips. She won't ever come.
Let's get into this face. Now typically I never do my brows on camera, but that's because I be getting nervous. I just feel like there's too many people watching me. But let's get into the brows. I know there's an actual product for this, I just don't use it, but I take whatever little edge control is remaining and I go ahead and brush my eyebrow hair out. Brushed out, not brushed out. I feel like this also gives the product something to stick to. For brows, I use a Goof pencil by Benefit Cosmetics. It has a spoolie on one side and then it has this angled pencil on the other side. Remember back in the day we all used to use the ABH dip brow? Babe, when I say them brows was thick and dark and thick, I feel like my brows have always been a controversial topic. Some people like them, some people don't like them. Reality is I actually have eyebrow hair and I don't like thin ass eyebrows, so that's just not me. Now what I can improve is not being so heavy handed, but shit, what do you expect? I got heavy hands. So what I typically do is I like to lightly line the bottom, kind of try to stroke it on there now. Whatever, lightly line it, get the bottom part too. See the difference? This side to this side. And then don't ever start at the very front of your brow. Kind of get back here with it a little bit, following its like natural shape, and then slowly but surely stroke it down. Stroke it down. Stroke it down. Now here's the brow all filled in before I go ahead and clean it up with my concealer. And then what I like to do for that front brow is just kind of like brush the hair up with my spoolie. So it takes a little bit of that product, but it doesn't make it too dark. So not done versus done. And if you look, I'm trying to just follow the shape of my brows and not go too much underneath or too much on top, and then lightly like stroke this inward. I feel like the front of this brow is a little bit more thicker, like the actual hair, than this one. Many are called, but few are chosen. When it comes to cleaning up my brows, I use the Morphe M432 brush. It's like this or whatever. So it has the ability to really get super precise. Some people use kind of like a curved brush that has like an angle but still is a little straight like this. I don't really like those. Now for cleanup product, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. The LA Girl Proconcealer has been my go-to for years on years on years. I use the shade Toffee for the bottom of my brows, and then for the top of my brows, whatever foundation you're using. I don't really wear foundation anymore. Skin tint to me is still kind of foundation, but I use the Fenty skin tint, and then I wear shade 18. So let's get to cleaning. Never, and I mean never, and I know people do it, but just don't do it. Never take this straight raw to the brow. No. No product control. I put literally just a little bit on my hand. All right, don't embarrass me now. Now, when it comes to this or whatever, I'm gonna take this out a little further or whatever. And I like to go real light, y'all. Real light-handed, because I can always build it up more. But if I take too much, it gets a little muddy or whatever. So boom. All right, of course this can continue to be improved. I feel like I got a little bit too much product on here. And then line it up, line it up. Anytime you feel like your area is getting just like a little too much product, I love to just brush it downwards or whatever. Or if you feel like you just want to kind of go in and clean the area a little bit more, brush the concealer downwards. Plus you need the concealer on your lid anyways for your eyeshadow. I feel like this also helps make sure you don't get a super harsh line, even though I like a slight line. Like I like it to look like real eyebrows that just freshly got done. Once you're satisfied with your brows and you've moved all that concealer down to the bottom of your lid, go ahead and clean up the top. I take the same approach for clearing up my top brows as I do filling them in. I don't want to really start like right here necessarily. I kind of like to start a little bit back here and then lightly brush a little bit of the product towards the front. I'm gonna have to get up close and personal for these, honey. So start about right here and then I work my way back. Okay, that was good, that was good. And then brush it forward. That was really good at a first pass. Once I'm satisfied with the brows, and I know they will never be identical, because I'm no makeup artist. I just do what I do, and I do it well. I go ahead and start cleaning them up. This is a BH Cosmetics brush. I feel like you can kind of use any brush you want to use or whatever to clean up your brows. And I make sure that I take out kind of that front part that I drew a little bit light and then push that product down into my lids. Now, let's cover the lids in a little bit of concealer. Not too much, unless you're doing an eye, which, baby, I'm not a pirate. I don't know how to really paint it like that. So ain't no eye or whatever. I'm gonna do one color and it's gonna work. I do want to recommend, if you're looking for something a little bit more precise to go even lighter on the brows, you can use the Benefit Cosmetics Precisely My Brow. This is honestly a good go-to, especially when it comes to filling in those front parts of the brow. I don't fill mine in too much, but if you wanted to, you could use this. Moving on to the eyes, I am not an eyeshadow girl. Like, I'm not an eyeshadow girl. I do what I can. I really wish that I could do a little bit more, because I really do appreciate those super detailed looks, but that's why I go to the professionals. Once you have that blended in, go ahead and take some translucent or even your yellow setting powder and put it on your eyelash, just to make sure that concealer sticks to it and it gives a great base for your eyeshadow to stick to. Your girl recently shopped the Sephora sale, so I decided to try out the One Size setting powders. I, so far, am in love with this one. I haven't tried this one yet. It just was a little too hard to get open. This is a translucent. I'm not really a translucent powder girly. They kind of make me a little nervous, so I've never used them, but I hear nothing but great things about this. One thing about that girl Patrick, she knows how to make some good packaging. This is super cute. This is the One Size powder. I love that you can like close this up and put the top on it, so just because you open the top, that doesn't mean a whole bunch of product is going to spill out. I use this brush. It's a Wet n Wild brush. I use this brush for all my powder applications or whatever, but set that in, make sure you get under there so it's not all greasy and shiny. Well, I'm not an eyeshadow girly. Your girl still knows good eyeshadow. This palette has all the right browns. It did have a black. I feel like that black falling out of this is a common thing, because everybody I know with this palette, the black didn't fade it away. Now I just start here because I want to work my way up. I don't want it to be too harsh or whatever. I just put this brown in there and I just brush her upwards. Shadow, no shadow, real basic. In an attempt to add a little bit dimension, I use this like lighter brown color, and I only do that in the bottom of my brow bone right here, not all the way across, but it does a little something, right? I think so. Now here's where I may ruffle a couple feathers. For lashes, I only use lash glue. I'm not putting hair store glue on my eyes. Lashes are supposed to be a one night, the day type of thing. How long do y'all want y'all lashes to last that got you using hair glue? Track glue. I use the Duo quick drying adhesive. It's my go-to. And then I also really do love the type of applicator that it comes with. Applicators matter. Now as far as lashes, these are my favorite lashes. I wear these constantly. You can find them linked in my Amazon storefront under beauty. These are my go-to. I truly don't feel like you can always tell which lash is which. I just kind of look and compare them to see like which one may look better on the other eye. Sometimes there are some shorter hairs in the front, but some sometimes it's not. I feel like I'm winging it every time. I remember back in the day, I could not put lashes on, and I used to ask my friend, like, can you put my lashes on? Can you put my lashes on? She used to get so irritated to the point where one day she told me no, and I was just like, you're really not gonna put my lashes on? That was the day I finally learned how to put them on. Get you some curved tweezers like this, not regular tweezers. Get you some actual lash tweezers. And when it comes to putting them on, I feel like my best advice is to close your eye, look down, or whatever will close or look down. Put the end on first, and then take this tool to like guide it to your actual lash line. Okay, and sometimes you got to make some adjustments, but you pull it down. I like to put mine toward the end first, because one thing I hate is my inner eye being all irritated. So that's how I put it on. I remember back in the day I was getting my makeup done, and the girl blew on my lash. I said, can I get another pair? Baby, don't blow on my lash. Don't blow on my lash. Don't. You're blowing me now. Just before my lash gets to fully dry, I like to make sure I pinch it with my actual real lash so that it really sticks. And also it doesn't have that little gap. And make sure you do a little pinch. These are such good lashes. Nice and wispy, super cute. I've never gotten my lashes done because I cannot imagine laying back for how long? And I just wouldn't make it. Plus my eyes water. Here comes my most favorite part and my least favorite part. Seeing what these edges look like. I always take this off to do my edges because I don't want to look half done. But sometimes I'm a little nervous. Dang, I got this knotted up. Okay. And then roll it down, roll it down. Roll it down. Hold on. Hold on. All right. Oh, these some good edges. These some good edges. These some good edges. I know I got this little D here, but it's gonna, oh. I'm gonna have to, oh, hold on. I'm gonna have to figure out something to do with that. Now that I've scoped the scenery out and seen what the edges are hitting on, I can push it back a little bit just so I can hit these like areas right here. As far as foundation, normally I would say put your foundation on your hand, not directly on your face, but because this is super buildable, I actually just go ahead and put it directly on my face. And this is the Fenty Skin Tint Eaze Drop in shade 18. I put a little bit of everywhere, and then I use a flat top brush to blend in my product. I personally am not a beauty blender girly. I don't even own a beauty blender. I feel like it absorbs so much product and I just don't like it. Now as far as how to put this on, using the flat top brush, this is PH Cosmetics, and even though on my neck I'm sweeping, that's because I plan on putting other product. But on my face, press. The key to just that airbrush finish is to press. Press, 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 press. Press it like you press that man. Press it into your skin and move that brush. Do not sweep. Do not sweep. So here's my initial application with my skin tint. I always kind of look at my skin and I'm like, do I feel like building a little bit more? I'm gonna highlight, I'm gonna contour. So I really am only thinking about the areas that aren't gonna get all that extra product. So under the eyes, I don't really worry about too much. But this area right here, I always look to see if I want to build a little bit more. And I know y'all see my beard growing back in. Don't worry, we're getting waxed at the end of the month. One of my most asked questions about my makeup routine is what concealer do I use? What concealer do I use? I have been using the Makeup Revolution concealer forever. You can buy this at Ulta, at Target, and I use shade C12. Now this is one product that I feel like the applicator just isn't doing too much, so I can put it directly to my face, and I put it under here. A little bit here, not too much. Of course, above my lip. On my nose. A little on the forehead. And Tanisha. These are the only places I put concealer. I do not put concealer underneath my contour, and let me show you why. For my contour, I also use a Makeup Revolution product. This is actually a foundation stick. I feel like it works just the same. Now this is so dark and chocolatey and perfect, but I don't want to put too much on it once, so I always put the product on my hand first, and then I use my Morphe M439 brush to build it up on my face. And always contour before you highlight. Just take a little dab and I start building it up. I'd rather build up than try to take away. And same technique, don't sweep, but press. Don't forget your forehead. And that's why I wasn't too pressed about having that much skin tint up there. Contouring, whether you use powder, use liquid, is essential to a good face. And of course we're going to contour around our jawline. Now one thing I feel like can definitely improve about my makeup is product placement, but for now it's pretty much working. I try to kind of go like right above that jaw area a little bit, and I just don't put too much. I also put some product around my chinchilla area too, and this is one time I'll tell you it's okay to sweep. It's okay. Now we're at my favorite part of the face, the concealer. I feel like this is when the face just keeps coming together. I use the Real Techniques Experts face brush to blend in my concealer, and I always just kind of start with my chin area just because it's not too much product and I don't want it to dry down too much. So I blend in the chinchilla, kind of blend it a little while, but that's okay because I can always use my contour brush to come back in and round that chin back out. After any area I set, I'm gonna go in with my one size powder to set in the product, and this is shade Sweet Honey. Time to blend out my under eye. I like to start here and the outskirts. I also like to go back and forth so the product is not too heavy on one side or the other. I feel like when you blend your contour first, then your concealer, you always give yourself some room to fix anything that may have got a little too out of control. Blending away, and again, blend on the outs first and then take it to that inner. And remember, we're still pressing. We're still pressing it into the skin. Get that edge. I still like to keep a little bit of that chisel. I feel like that's another controversial piece of makeup. And then, like I said, we're still pressing it in. And the other side. If you have recommendations for your favorite concealer brush, let me know below, because I'm always open to trying a new good brush. Now, I know you're like, girl, where's your contour? It's so easy to bring your contour back. And I just bring this right here. We're contouring. Sometimes, depending on what you want to do, you could bring it back down there if you want to, but I like to stay a little bright. And before I leave this alone for too long, I want to go ahead and take my one size Sweet Honey powder and start pressing this in. Press, press, press. I am not a baker. I don't bake my yellow anymore. If you see the complete difference from this to this, I don't really bake anymore. I do like to come in and make that line really chiseled. I personally like that look. I know some people don't, but that's your girl's thing. And keep pressing that powder in on both sides. So powder, no powder. That one size is just too good. Getting the forehead, I like to take my same under eye brush to kind of get that middle into the forehead area. Make sure I don't push it out too far, but it's okay if you do, because remember, you can go in and add that good contour right back. To get my nosy together, I just take one of my Real Techniques brush, and I try my hardest not to do too much sweeping and more just pressing. That's why this area right here, applying as little product as possible is your best bet. Same approach with my powder, just following what I've already kind of carved out there and pressing it in my skin. For my contouring setting powder, because how could I set the highlight but not set the contour, I actually use a MAC Studio Fix powder. This is NW48, and then I use this little angled Wet n Wild brush, and I just set it on in. You got to be careful with this because contour in general, its job is to create those shadows in your face, so you have to be really careful or whatever with where you put this. Sometimes down here I'll just use some translucent powder versus going all the way down with my darker powder, because sometimes I get a little carried away. So go ahead and apply that, and definitely still press that in the skin, and make sure you just hit every area that you actually contour, including around Tranisha. Definitely want to make sure you set underneath here too, to avoid as much transfer as possible, especially considering that this is a darker shade than what the rest of your face is. When it comes to contouring my nose, I don't use any liquid. It's just a little too strong. I just take that same powder with the Wet n Wild brush. You can kind of use any brush you want for this, but I'll just go in and I will brush from this like bridge of my nose here on both sides, and of course kind of round that nose off a little bit. I always turn my face like to the side, like what is the nose giving? And don't worry, we're gonna brush this excess stuff off or whatever, but for now I want to make sure it's stuck to the skin. To highlight my contour, I know everyone likes to use your yellow powder, or they like to use actual concealer. I am not a fan of that. I don't know where I learned this trick from, but shout out to them. I actually use a powder that's my skin tone. I use a powder that's my current skin tone, and this also allows me to kind of set whatever part of that contour that I may have gotten a little too carried away with right there in that area. But this is what I use. It's been working for me. I use the Maybelline Fit Me in shade 360 Mocha. It's so funny how like the products that I've used from the very beginning have like effortlessly merged with the products that I use now. Now I do feel like my contour area could use a little bit more setting, and I really don't want to use any more of my powder, so I'm gonna go ahead and test out using this one size translucent powder. I feel like it's already doing this thing. That extra shine is gone and it's all set in. Oh wow, that is just too freaking good. I think this is going to be a part of my everyday routine. I might actually have to get me a powder puff to make sure that this is all set in perfectly. I think I'm definitely going to switch to a powder puff for more of a full face application. I'm looking at the face and I'm quite satisfied with how it's turning out, so I'm going to go ahead and do my last step before I set my face, which is some blush. I'm not a liquid blush girly. I just feel like I don't got enough self-control, so I'm still using powder brushes. This is the MAC Raisin blush. It is so perfect for me. It is nice and subtle, and I just put that right in between like my highlight and contour area, kind of like right on top of my contour, and that's where I put mine. And that's why I said like product placement, I feel like it's so subjective, because it all depends on like how do you want your face to look, straight ahead, to the side. This has been working for me for so long, and I'm kind of stuck in my ways when it comes to my makeup style, but I do have some areas that I feel like I can definitely improve. I don't know what's in this. It damn sure works, but it also damn sure smells. You have to brush yourself. An area of makeup that I feel like is just so underrated is mascara and lash primer. Y'all, this freaking L'Oreal lash primer is so good, and I used to use the MAC one, but they discontinued it to reformulate it, which it stunk, so I needed it. The primer is the L'Oreal Voluminous Primer, and then for the mascara, it is going to be the Telescopic Lift. Let's get into the applicator. I feel like when it comes to mascara, the applicator is everything. It kind of has like a flat side, and the things are super tiny. I'm absolutely loving the face. So I'm gonna make sure I put on a little bit of bronzer. And this is actually highlighter, but I say it's bronzer. I don't even really know what bronzer is. Like, is bronzer not highlighter? Like, for the lip, my Forever Lip Combo. My liner is, of course, Matte Chestnut. And one thing about me, I love my cute little Cupid's bow. I'm never gonna overline. Do a little X mark the spot and then round it out. And my favorite lip gloss ever, the Juvia's Place, the Nubian Nude. Okay, honey, here's my final look. I hope you enjoyed this. This is my everyday basic makeup routine. I have everything down below in the description so you can figure out what products if you want to try them. I'll see you next time. Bye, honey.